and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Today we want to talk to you about camping near Arches National Park.
And we're going to start off with the campground that is actually in Arches. And if you know in advance that you're going to come here and you can make reservations, do your research, then that might be the option you want. It might not.
For several reasons. One is many of the campsites are not level.
And if you can find out exactly which sites are the longer sites, you'll see in the video there was a decent sized travel trailer that was in just a pull-up site. It didn't back in, it was just a pull-up site. And yet there was another pull-up site that it looked like a compact car would need to be at. And then there were some back-in sites that were nice and level. There were others,
and long.
There were others where we saw a Class C with his back tires up on up on blocks, and then all the stabilizing stuff with blocks under it. Not a way I would like to camp. And in the next site, there was that travel trailer where the front end was on blocks and then raised as high as it could, and it still wasn't level. So that's one reason.
Another reason, at the end of the scenic drive, it goes right at the campground. It doesn't have to go through it, but the only way you can get out of the campground is going back down the scenic drive.
Right.
It makes a loop.
Well, at the very end, it makes a loop.
Yes.
There's a little loop. But yeah, you have to get into the campground, you've got to go to the end of the scenic drive, start around that loop.
Which is how many miles?
18 miles,
18
I believe,
miles.
from the visitor center. So actually, where we're sitting right now for free, we're closer to the visitor center than the people who are actually staying in Arches National Park.
Advantages and disadvantages. We saw the park closed this morning.
Well, and I was going to say, one of the advantages is you're not having to, if you go in the park and you're staying in the park and never leaving, then you're not going to have to wait that line to get in the park multiple days. But like Mylena said, we went in this morning and we left at around 11:30.
Yes.
Well, the park was closed.
Yes.
And
because of the number of people that
the
were
park
there.
was full.
Yes.
That's what they had a sign out saying the park was full to come back later. I don't know. We didn't ask. It didn't affect us. But if you're camping there and you go out to the store or something and you come back and the park is closed because it's full,
can you get back in? We don't know.
I think the station was unmanned and they just had the road blocked.
Yes.
There was a barricade across the road and
there are roundabouts where people can get out.
So, it may be the best option for you to stay there, but understand, and another reason you may or may not, you may not be comfortable staying there, and that is, it's a very steep grade going into that scenic drive. The video there is at the visitor center. It is a switchback going up as you're going into the park, and then obviously a switchback going down. So if you're not going to be comfortable towing on a steep grade, even though it's not an exceptionally long stretch,
you may not want to drive that.
It is a steep grade. So other options. If you want hookups.
Town is full of hookups. We don't know how much they are.
And we don't know if they were full or not. We did see a number of people at them. And these RV resorts, they do have, now some of the RV resorts, the one next to us, I'm not sure they have hookups, but many of them you're going to be able to get either full hookups or water and electric with a dump station.
And maybe Wi-Fi.
And a picnic table, but you're essentially slotted in.
Right.
One on top of another on top of another. And those are not cheap.
No.
I've had some friends that have stayed here. I don't remember the price. But if you are interested in that, you can, there are a number of them, and more being out where we are. There's some new ones. You can tell they're new. The trees have just been planted.
Yes.
But so you can look into that and see if that's something you'd be interested in.
Another dry camping experience are the sites in the Colorado Waterway.
Colorado Riverway, I think it is.
Riverway.
Recreation area.
Recreation area.
And the map for Arches National Park shows that just along the Colorado River, there are a number of BLM campgrounds, but we drove out to the first two.
And
the first one was full, but you could get a decent sized RV in there.
And it was $20 a night.
Those sites are $20 a night, and what you get for your $20, you do get an actual campsite, meaning you have a picnic table, a fire ring, pit toilets, and some sort of trash.
Yeah.
And so if you're wanting a campsite, the next campground that we went out to, Gooseneck, I think was it. Maybe that was the first one. The second one.
Island was the first one, and Grand Staff, I think.
But it said as you're going in, the maximum length is 24 feet.
That's both tow vehicle and RV.
As we were driving down through that, there was a guy that was getting there with an R-Pod, and he hadn't unhitched yet, and he's sticking way out in the road.
Yeah.
It's a little one. They're beautiful sites.
Yes.
They're against the Colorado. They back up to the Colorado River. They're beautiful sites. But once again, $20 for no hookups and pit toilets. But you do have trash.
Picnic table, fire pit. Now, I want to bring up the fire pits. We have a fire pit here, but I'd be hesitant to use it.
Yeah, the wind here is pretty stiff a lot of the time, and there are gusts, just random gusts periodically. But there are a number of those BLM sites,
Yes.
and my assumption would be, and I may be wrong on this, we didn't drive out to all of them, but would be the further out of Moab you get, the less crowded they'll
Yes.
get. Now,
Go ahead.
there are, in this area, there are a number of dispersed options, and we looked at several of those, and we're going to show you the one that we've chosen. We've had people ask us how roads are for dispersed camping. It's going to depend on where you are.
Yes, and none of them, well, I can't say none. We haven't been to that many. The ones we've been to, the roads are not necessarily going to be paved.
And they're not necessarily going to be smooth, but the ones
we've chosen are gravel.
Yeah, they're hard packed down gravel. So yeah, there'll be some dust when people are driving on them.
And there'll be some...
Yeah, you'll get some bumps as you're going. But the one that we're on, I don't know if the city of Moab is providing this or what.
Either.
But there are porta potties about every quarter mile
Yes.
or so, because there are a lot of tent campers out here as well. This is a big area for four-wheelers and off-road vehicle kind of things, and so you will get some traffic. I'd heard terrible things about how loud and that's going to depend on when you're here. We're
Sure.
here Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. We've heard some, but it hasn't been
No.
annoying.
At Canyonlands, we were there over the weekend, and we didn't hear a lot. They were further down the way.
And once it gets dark, everything settles down. And anyway, we are camping for free. We're staying here. This place there are a number of people here, and we're not going to say that we're here completely alone. We're in this particular little site area alone. But
Some are more like a group site where you pull in and there are other people there and you just share the spot.
share that spot. But once again, you can pay $20 for no hookups, or you can stay for free. And like I said, there were a number of dispersed camping options. I do want to say that road, that Highway 128 that goes out, follows the Colorado River.
Yes.
It does say, as you turn down that road, for the next 30 miles, camping only in campgrounds. So that is not a road where you can do any dispersed
No.
camping. We found these roads on Campendium. There are other apps that you can use to find where there's dispersed camping. But it was quiet. We are level. Once again, we can look at the levels, but our best gauge is our bathroom door. If it doesn't open or close,
Yes.
then we know we're really level. And
And we have a beautiful view. I don't know what the mountains are, but we can see snow-capped mountains
Yeah,
this
it's
way.
pretty much desert this way. There are some cliffs just, if I raise the camera a little bit back there, we can see. Same thing over here. This is essentially the backside of Canyonlands
Yes.
National Park. Sorry, that dog wants up. And then we've got the snow-capped mountains that way. But like I said, we have neighbors, and we're fine with that. But
We don't have neighbors as close as you would in
an RV resort.
In an RV resort, or even an RV like a state park.
And so we do want to go on and mention that there are 2 Maverick stations in the city of Moab, and that may be changing because it's growing we can see new development all over. But as we were coming north from the Needles section of Canyonlands, we came to the first Maverick station, and that is the one with the free dump station and free water. And so we did take advantage of those.
And of course, we filled up our tank there, as our gas tank as
yeah.
well.
You want a free
gas and diesel.
Yeah, and so probably when we leave here, because we know that's there, we're north of Moab. That is just as you're coming in on the south side. We're still probably going to go back down there and do the same thing.
Yes.
Top off our fresh water tank, go on and use the dump station and fill up our gas tank before we head on over to
Capitol Reef.
and we're looking forward to hopefully finding some more dispersed camping there. But there are a number of options in this area. We had no reservations and felt fairly certain we'd be able to find something. And one other thing I will mention about camping in this area, we got here Monday, got set up and everything, and then Monday evening we went into the national park, drove, and this was a good way, we'll talk
Yes.
about this in that video, but we drove the first half. But when
The scenic
drive, there are a couple of pull-offs and stuff, and we did that. And then we went back and did the second half, and that's a great way to do that park because it's so
Huge.
massive. But what I was going to say is, for fairly up-to-date weather information, the national parks at the Ranger Information Centers, they usually have a forecast.
Yes.
We found that out at Devil's Tower. We just take our phone, take a picture of it, and that snapshot is going to give the current forecast for the days that we're going to be there. And the reason we're saying that is because we usually don't have great cell service when we are doing our dispersed camping. And so...
And they let you know in the information they give you at the national parks, do not expect cell service. Don't rely on it.
Yeah, don't be dependent on it. But anyway, we are going to do a video about Arches National Park because it's just stunning and amazing, and super, super glad we came to this area to check it out. And like I said, if you know you're going to be here and you want to get into the national park, make reservations there. And then my suggestion would be to check and see what all the options are for resorts, RV resorts, if you're going to want hookups. Because we already had a camping spot and we already were going into the park, we did not go to the visitor center, but there is a tourist visitor center.
Information center.
They're in Moab.
Yes.
And so if you're just really not sure, they can also give you a
help
little
you
more
out.
information. But where we are here, I'm going to say maybe the first 1.5 to 2 miles, it is a good packed down gravel road. At the end of that, there's a fork, and both of those are dirt. We were not going to go down either one of those, so we
No.
just turned around and came back.
But
there were people with RVs on down there.
The place where we're parked looks like it's on sand. It has hard rock, but just beneath the sand. So we're confident.
And so anyway, we are very pleased with where we've chosen to be, and we hope that the information we've given you can help you find the perfect place for you when you come to visit Arches National Park. Thanks for watching
Two Tired Teachers.